Hello YouTube, welcome back to my playthrough of Ace Attorney Investigations Collection. Let's continue from where we left off right here. And if you guys are enjoying the series, do drop a like, it does help the series out a lot. Okay, March 14th, Prosecutor's building, 12th floor hallway. Okay.
What is with that prosecutor? I can't believe how rude he was. It was unbelievable.
Please maintain your professionalism, detective. Yep, we're professional right here. Make sure to act professional.
I'm gonna find some real solid evidence proving Maggie's innocent. You'll see, sir.
We've been kicked out of the crime scene, sir.
True. So then what now?
Looks like my life's fallen into another gigantic ditch. Do not despair, Miss Bird. We can overcome this as well. There are many other places and things we should be looking into anyway.
Eh, really, sir?
For example, this hallway. The linchpin of his argument against Miss Bird is related to the master key. In that case, this hallway is the perfect place to look for more information. Regarding the mystery surrounding my door. Begin investigation. Prosecutor's building, 12th floor hallway. What's this under the couch? First thing I'm noticing. I won't rest until I've inspected every suspicious-looking nook and cranny. What is this? Oh, it's the file. The bloody file.
Ah, isn't that the missing O series file, sir?
No doubt about it. The bloody letters mark it clear as day. There seem to be a few pages missing. Our thief took only what was necessary and left the rest behind.
So what are those O files about, sir? I guess they got something worth stealing in them, huh?
Not particularly. It's just a collection of court case files. However, the cases within these files are not mine.
Huh?
They belong to the high prosecutor that used to occupy my current office. I have my reasons, but let's just say I was charged with keeping them as they were.
And that means the thief must have also wanted the file for a specific reason, right?
It would seem so. Only the pages related to the case from 10 years ago are missing.
I wonder why anyone would care about such an old case.
A well-crafted, high-quality sofa for visitors. The stitching is excellent.
Talk about a luxury waiting area. These babies are also great for napping, you know.
You would sleep even out here, detective, in a hallway.
Whenever I do, I always wind up dreaming about giving testimony up on the stand. But it always ends the same way. Me getting trounced by a lawyer. Isn't that awful?
Maybe I should give it a try sometime, to envision myself winning, naturally. Well, the thing is, Gumshoe has been cross-examined so many times in the original Ace Attorney trilogy, and he messed up so many times. Okay, what is a basketball doing here?
That's Mr. Portsman's prized possession, sir. I heard he also plays soccer, dodgeball, and even tennis.
Not a single one of these sports is suitable to be played in the hallway. I was wondering if I can speak with you, up for a bit concerning this case. I've always been a big fan of the courtroom, but this is like a dream. A dream where I'm being cross-examined by the Miles Edgeworth. Can't let this chance pass me by. I must remember to ask her about the master key. I should jog her memory by showing my notes to her with triangle. The master key. It's the master key to every office in the building. So when did you discover the master key was missing? By the time I realized it, I think it was around 1 a.m., sir. I noticed it was back at around 2:30 a.m. It was just sitting there on the ledge where the security room's reception window is. But I'm sure that between those two times, it was not just gone, but stolen, sir. The key went missing from approximately 1 a.m. until 2:30 a.m. Why is such an important key stored in such an insecure place? It's not like that, sir. We always keep the key further inside the room, away from the window. Always, you say, except for this time, correct? Well, I admit that was a bit careless, but I had my reasons. I left it out because I was sort of using it at the time. It was after I'd used it that I left it sitting on the ledge. She used the master key. The victim. Have you ever met the victim before? Well, I've seen him a couple of times before when I had to go to Mr. Portsman's office. Mr. Faith was always playing basketball with Mr. Portsman, sir.
That sounds like fun. Just once I'd have loved to play with them.
Sounds fun, but the only person ever taking a shot was Mr. Portsman. All Mr. Faith ever did was pass him the ball, sir.
On second thought, I don't think I'd fit in it all that well with them.
Use the master key. What did you mean by use the master key? Oh, I had to, I had to use it to open the door for this prosecutor who had forgotten his key. I mean, it's my job as a security guard, right? Ah! What is it? That's right, I just remembered. The prosecutor who forgot his key. It was Mr. Portsman, sir. What? Please tell me more, Miss, Bird, quickly. Forgetful Mr. Portsman. He didn't forget, he did it on purpose. It was around 12 a.m. Mr. Portsman has forgotten his office key, so he came down to the security, sir. And that's when you, loaned the master key to him. No way, it's against regulations to loan the master key out to anyone. I walked Mr. Portsman to his office and opened the door to him, for him personally, sir. I see. And then what happened after that? Well, he called for me to come close up his office as he was leaving to go home. That was around 1:30 a.m., I think. So in summary, for the sake of one forgetful prosecutor, you used the master key twice tonight. The key was used to unlock and lock Mr. Portsman's office at 12 a.m. and 1:30 a.m.
Talk about suspicious.
I doubt you can say that you've never left your keys at home, Detective. I think this calls for a thorough examination of Mr. Portsman's door. Maggie Bird. Miss Maggie Bird, correct? I take it that you are an acquaintance of the detective. Yeah, so, has Edgeworth ever met Maggie before this? I don't think he has, actually, no. So, Maggie was a really big character in the old Ace Attorney games. I remember her from, in the second game. In the second game, she was accused in the very first case of murdering her boyfriend who was a cop, and she didn't do that. And then she ended up leaving the force after that. She was framed by a scammer, and then she was also framed again a second time. She got a job as a waitress at a restaurant, and it was another a guy, kind of a scammer criminal who was trying to get a disc from another guy and had poisoned him, and then framed her, and basically everybody at the restaurant pretended like he wasn't there. But Maggie was pretty close to Gumshoe, and Gumshoe always looked out for her.
She was under my supervision, back when she was still on the force, sir. One day she got caught up in a murder, and things started going downhill, so she quit.
Yeah, that's when her boyfriend got murdered. But I owe a lot to Detective Gumshoe for introducing me to my current employer. Or so I thought until a few hours ago. Right before I was about to clock out for the night. You got caught up in this whirlwind of a case, correct? Don't worry. My whole life has been nothing but a whirlwind of bad luck and failures. Since I was 6 months old when I fell from the 9th floor of my apartment building. What? I've been hit by all sorts of vehicles, gotten sick from all sorts of foods, failed at almost every test I've taken, experienced almost every kind of disaster, and now I even managed to be named a criminal just when I become a security guard. That's a lot to go through in one lifetime. I know, and just when I thought I had finally found my happiness, I wound up getting you and Detective Gumshoe involved in my bad luck. You don't need to worry about me, Miss Bird. Nor do you need to worry about yourself. I will solve this case and prove your innocence. All I ask in return is for your cooperation. Yes, sir, Mr. Edgeworth, you can count on me. I'll do all I can to help. I won't rest until I've inspected every suspicious-looking nook and cranny. Room 1203. I take it this is Mr. Portsman's office. Yeah, you can't mistake it because of that basketball hoop, sir. Oh, that reminds me, Mr. Portsman had actually wanted room 1202 really badly. But since you were already occupying it, Mr. Edgeworth, we put him next door, sir. So why was Mr. Portsman so particularly about getting room 1202? I'm not sure, but I bet it's because of something like his birthday is December 2nd?
Yup, that's gotta be it. I can't think of another reason why.
No, he wanted to be close to Edgeworth's room. He wanted the file. I can think of at least 3. Bah, why am I even wasting time thinking about this? The door's locked tight.
Heh, I bet the old credit card trick wouldn't work here, huh, Mr. Edgeworth?
This is the office of a high prosecutor, detective. These doors would be pretty ineffective if the average cat burglar could get through them.
Aha! So I guess only a great cat burglar could get in. That must be who our culprit is.
Might I advise you to return that conclusion to whatever pawn shop you brought it from. A minimalist, yet classy door made of top-quality wood.
It's kind of majestic, too. Fits in really well with the ambience of the prosecutor's offices.
Even Mr. Portsman seems dignified, just because he works behind one of these. Nonsense. A man doesn't become more or less dignified because of where he works.
Well, he still seems more dignified than Mr. Payne.
Mr. Payne? I suppose custodial work can also be dignified. Yeah, Mr. Payne. He's a prosecutor. He's a pretty annoying guy. I wonder if he'll appear in this game. The basketball hoop. It's Mr. Portsman's personal basketball hoop. I can't believe he put something like this in the hallway of a prosecutor's office.
But you know, it's actually pretty useful, sir. I haven't got lost trying to get to your office, sir, since it's been here.
How long have I had the same office, and yet you still managed to get lost? What's a basketball hoop doing here?
Hey, didn't this used to be just outside next to a building a long time ago?
So when and why was it moved indoors?
I don't remember exactly, but I saw one of the officers drag it up here recently.
Drag it?
I heard that it wouldn't fit in the elevator, so the poor guy had to bring it himself.
All the way up to the 12th floor. Is everything alright? Yes, sir. If you must know, I weighed myself this morning, and I'm finally at 154 pounds. Congratulations. But I was asking about this hallway in this room. Oh, everything's okay, sir. A word of advice. Stay focused or you may start to lose even more weight. Oh, is that Payne? Right there? It is Payne. Oh, that's Payne right there. I recognize him from a lot of the other Ace Attorney games. Oh, yeah. He was also in Apollo Justice. Oh, yeah. It looks like you're in quite the pinch, Mr. Edgeworth. To be sure, a murder within the walls of the prosecutor's office is no trifling matter. We must find, apprehend, and punish the killer accordingly, post-haste. Sounds like a messy case you got on your hands. That's what Payne kind of sounds like, so I'm kind of mimicking his voice. If you ever feel lost or need some advice, my door is always open. How gracious, I will keep your offer in mind. Who is this guy again? He's a failed prosecutor. Yeah. He's also a really big scumbag. But yeah, man, I never played this game, but they've done a really good job. I've seen what the pixel art in this game look. They've done a great job remastering this game. It looks amazing. Okay. I got the check mark on here. But on here, I haven't gotten it.
Yes, sir.
Anything of interest? Detective Gumshoe, you look rather intrigued by something. Care to share?
Oh, it's nothing, but I noticed that Mr. Portsman calls his partner Jim. And the detectives in that Sunday night drama, All My Cops, is named Jim too. I bet one of them is a big fan of that show.
You seem to know a little something about it yourself. I take it you watch it too.
Of course! The tight bond of friendship between prosecutor and detective is great, sir. But it's nothing compared to the super strong friendship we have. Oh!
Friendship, Detective. I think you're mistaking it with pity.
How can you say that, sir? And after all we've been through, too.
Okay. Okay, let's see if we can put this together here. The culprit rearranged my files twice, once before and once after the murder. Why? The key went missing from approximately 1 a.m. until 2:30 a.m. This key was used to unlock and lock Mr. Portsman's office at 12 a.m. and 1:30 a.m. These two are linked. Yeah, these two are linked. Let's see. So, yeah. Miss Bird, I'm afraid there's a flaw in your story. What? No way, pal. I mean, sir. You said that you locked up Mr. Portsman's office at around 1:30 a.m., correct? However, my master key had already been stolen at that time. The master key had already been stolen at the time. Wow! Nothing gets by you, Mr. Edgeworth. You saw that contradiction like a pro. I had totally forgotten all about that. Thanks to you, I remember it now. You're right. It was around that very time that I realized the master key was missing. And? Well, I'm a security guard, sir. I couldn't just admit to losing the master key, could I? So I pretended to lock up his room, sir. Oh, you pretended? Yeah, I used my house key and made it look like I was locking up, sir. So in actuality, you never did relock the door then. Well, I thought that maybe I could go lock it after I found the key. Come to think of it, I guess the door still hasn't been locked properly. Mr. Bird unlocked the door, but master key was stolen, so she could not lock it up. So his door is unlocked. Is the spot somehow connected to any evidence I hold? Miss Bird unlocked the door, but master key was stolen, so she could not lock it up, so it should be unlocked. Yep, this one, let's see. There's a contradiction here between reality and the evidence. If what Miss Bird had said is true, then why is this door locked tight? It is locked.
Huh, you know you're right.
Miss Bird, are you sure you didn't relock this door? I am certain of it, sir. And I don't think Mr. Portsman noticed it himself that I had it.
Which means, what, sir?
Somebody locked it. That either means that he actually does have the key to his office, or that the door Miss Bird opened wasn't this one at all, but a completely different one.
She opened a different door? But how can you prove that?
There's an easy way to find out. All we need to do is, we need to examine these. It's not prints on the number plate. Prints on the doorknob. The prints on the doorknob will tell us everything.
Hey, you! Yeah, you, pal. Do us a favor and see what you can lift from this, okay? So, what did you find out?
There's no need for such belligerent and nostril flaring, Detective. Sir, I found only Mr. Portsman and Miss Durfaith's prints in this doorknob.
So only two people's prints
were found in this, huh? It's pretty decisive.
Oh, I'm lost, sir.
So, she didn't unlock this door. Thinking logically, a certain other person's print should be on this knob as well. Maggie's. Now then, whose print should also be on this doorknob? Maggie. Yeah, Maggie's print should be on this doorknob.
Take that!
Don't you find it odd that the prints of the person who unlocked this door are absent?
You mean...
Yes, the door that Miss Bird opened could not have been this one, but a different one. Miss Bird said she unlocked this door, but her prints were not found on the doorknob. What have we here? I won't rest until I've inspected every suspicious-looking nook and cranny. What is this? This first thing I'm seeing. What is this? Oh, he said it too.
Looks like a scrap of paper. I'll get it, sir. Let's see. Oh, there's something written on it.
I brought the 3 pieces of evidence by, just like we talked about on the phone. But it looks like you're out. Guess I'll catch up to you later, buddy. It looks like a note from the victim.
Yeah, and it's for Mr. Portsman.
Found under the door for the absent Portsman. Note left by victim. Is this basketball property of Mr. Portsman? Yes, sir. He's always ready for a match. Basketball, soccer, dodgeball, tennis. It doesn't matter what sport it is, he's game.
Although, I think it'd be a little hard to play tennis with this ball, ho.
That isn't the point you should be focusing on, detective.
You're right, sir. Now I know what I should be focusing on. Bad Mr. Portsman. Someone should teach him to clean his toys up after he's done playing.
I think we've reached the end of this conversation. Wait a second. The basketball hoop was moved. Why? Something's not right here. Why was this moved? What's this?
What are you looking at, sir? Oh, hey, how about a game?
That's okay, detective. I just found the position of this hoop to be a little off.
Hey, you're right, sir. I guess it shifted when someone made a seriously sweet slam dunk.
The positioning of this hoop is definitely unnatural. I better take note of this. It's sitting in front of Portsman's office. There are signs it's been moved. Why? Why would somebody move the basketball hoop? Minimalist yet classy door made of top quality wood.
It's kind of majestic too. Fits in really well with the ambience of the prosecutor's offices. Even Mr. Portsman seems dignified just because he works behind one of these.
Nonsense. A man doesn't become more or less dignified because of where he works.
Well, he still seems more dignified than Mr. Payne.
Mr. Payne. I suppose custodial work can also be dignified. The door is locked tight.
I bet the old credit card trick.
Oh yeah, we saw this dialogue earlier here. Room 1203. I take it that this is Mr. Portsman's office. Yeah, you can't mistake it because that basketball hoop, sir. Oh, that reminds me. Mr. Portsman had actually wanted room 1202 really badly. But since you were already occupying it, Mr. Edgeworth, we put him next door, sir. So why was Mr. Portsman so particular about getting room 1202? I'm not sure, but I bet it's because it's something like his birthday. Oh, yeah, we saw this dialogue earlier. Okay. I'm gonna put this one here. Files in disarray. The culprit rearranged my files twice. Once before the murder and once after the murder. Another handgun. Other than the victim's gun that I found, could there be another gun in place? I don't know if I'm gonna link those. Yeah, they don't really make that much sense. I'm just a lowly security guard, so I'm not sure what I should do with that other than guard it. It's like talking with her gumshoe. Let me ask her. I've had to open Mr. Portsman's office up for him a number of times before. I've also had the chance to see the inside of his office on a number of occasions, too. He's got shelves upon shelves of sports memorabilia, trophies, and awards in it. To the point where it's almost beyond gaudy, sir. But maybe I just feel that way because I'm jealous, since I don't have even a single one.
Don't say that, Maggie. I'll make a special Guard of the Month award just for you.
Thanks for trying. but I've already got a mountain of consolation prizes, sir. I feel so bad for Maggie. Because Lily, she's gone through so much in the previous games, and she's constantly getting accused of something. They're proof of just how unbelievably unlucky my life has been. Plus, getting an award from you just isn't the same as getting a real award, sir. I don't see any signs of forced entry.
And according to the guard, no signs the lock was picked either, sir.
Meaning that the door really was opened with a key. Did you happen to ask if any prints were lifted from the doorknob?
Apparently, the doorknob's clean as a whistle. Why if they think?
Whoever this thief is, they did a good job of not leaving any clues behind. Poking around this hallway's actually paid off quite handsomely.
Huh? How so, sir?
In a variety of different ways. I think it's time we had a little chat with the real culprit of this case.
You know who the killer is?
Wow, Mr. Edgeworth. As long as my logic is sound, then yes. The mastermind behind his murder is none other than Mr. Portsman. What? Mr. Portsman?
I knew it! That's exactly what my logic senses were telling me too. I suspected it was him from the instant he accused Maggie of being the killer, sir.
That is anything but logical. Lady and gentlemen, prepare yourselves. Come what may be, it's time to knock on truth's door. March 14, 5:12 a.m. High Prosecutor's Office, room 1202. Mr. Portsman, I finished processing the bloody letter, sir. Alright, let me take a gander at it. Pass it here. Okay, looking good. You there. Take good care of this. Well, if it isn't Detective Gumshoe.
End of the line for you, Portsman. We've got you now.
Call off your dog, Mr. Edgeworth. Is this some kind of joke? It's no joke. We know, Mr. Jacques Portsman, that you are the guilty party in this case. You must be pretty upset getting chased out of your own room. I'd be mad, too. So I guess you can stay. You promise to stay out of our way. You intend to hide your crime under the guise of a prosecutor doing his job. I can see right through the unsightly paper-thin mask you wear upon your cowl. Haha. Who would have ever thought it would come to this? Actually, come to think of it, your mentor was Manfred von Karma, right? The legendary prosecutor who never lost a single case for 40 long years. So, about von Karma was Edgeworth's mentor, but it's a twisted story. Von Karma murdered Edgeworth's father, who Edgeworth's father was a lawyer, and von Karma ended up winning the case, but even though he won the case, Edgeworth's father managed to prove in court that von Karma had actually used fabricated evidence. And von Karma was so angry about that, when there was a power outage, and Edgeworth and a security guard and his father got trapped in the elevator, what happened was the elevator door opened, and the gun went off in the elevator. It hit von Karma. Von Karma was partly injured, but he took the gun, because the security guard was going crazy from the air in the elevator, and he took the gun and shot Edgeworth's father. Edgeworth believed that he killed his father, and he took Edgeworth and raised him to be a prosecutor when his father wanted him to be a lawyer. So that's the whole backstory why Edgeworth became a prosecutor and wasn't a lawyer. But von Karma right now is in prison. That's where he is. He's in prison for murder. He was exposed in the first Phoenix Wright game. And von Karma was never really about justice. He was always just about getting a guilty verdict. He never cared about the truth. It was only his guilty verdict, and he saw it like a game. But there was always this incessant chatter about forged evidence with that guy. Really teaches me that I've got to stay on the lookout for false accusations, you know? Are you done trying to play mind games with me? Because they won't work. The only thing you should be using that mouth of yours for now is explaining yourself. Although that too will only dig your hole deeper. Either way, your game is up. Well, aren't we full of ourselves? even though you have yet to prove anything. Okay, now we're gonna take him down. Mr. Portsman's rebuttal. I have no idea what sort of harebrained idea you have in mind, but there's a mountain of evidence that points away from me being the culprit. Besides, how, may I ask, do you propose I unlocked your door and got in here? Look, I feel bad about doing this to you, but I've got to work to do, so we're done here. Sorry, but we are not finished yet. Boy, you're stubborn. I suppose you're basing your accusations on something. I'll show you what I'm basing my accusations on. With evidence. Mr. Portsman's rebuttal. I have no idea what sort of harebrained idea you have in mind, but...
Hold it!
My accusation is a harebrained idea, is it? You tell me. I'd say it is, after all. There's a mountain of evidence that points away from me being the culprit. Oh yeah, sure.
Hold it!
Oh, and what, pray tell, kind of evidence are we talking about here? Jim was my partner, so you can't say I had a motive for killing him. There's actually a motive here. And that's it. That's not even an anthill, let alone a mountain. But it's more than enough, wouldn't you agree? Might I recommend that you review what the word evidence means? It doesn't change the fact that the evidence doesn't point to me as the killer. Besides, how, may I ask, do you propose I locked your door and got in here?
Hold it!
Unfortunately, I believe I've already shown you how earlier. Your speculations mean nothing, as I still insist that I could not gain access to your room. What should I do now? Should I raise an objection? The master key. And also, he's a prosecutor, so he's gonna know a lot of stuff. That's why he especially wiped his prints, too. And he also had somebody to throw under the bus. He had Maggie to throw under the bus. Don't raise an objection. I need to gather a bit more information. What's wrong? Don't tell me. All you wanted to do was find fault with my flawless logic. Look, I feel bad doing this to you, but I've got work to do, so we're done here.
Hold it!
I don't think so. Oh? And why's that? Because there is a flaw in your reasoning. Are you calling me a liar? So, where's your proof? The saying evidence everything isn't limited just to the courtroom, you know? You need not remind me. I'll show you all the evidence you want in time.
Hold it!
Okay, we're gonna raise the objection. You claim to have had no way to open my door. However, is that really, the honest truth? Alright. I'll humor you. Go ahead, shoot. Very well, then. I propose that you use this to open my door. Master key. This, can open every office door. It was stolen from the security office.
Take that!
I believe you were able to open my office door with the master key, no less.
Objection!
Wait. Hold on for a sec. I never laid a finger on that key, as you already know. Precisely. You were able to open my door without lifting a single finger. Well, maybe you did, but only to direct. He tricked Maggie into opening the door. That's what he did. He was smart. That's how he covered his prints, because he got Maggie to open it. And he would be able to frame her easily for the crime afterwards. He thought this whole thing through. Use your finger to direct this person to open my door with the key. Maggie. He tricked Maggie.
Take that!
You had asked Miss Bird to open your own office door for you, yes? Yeah, I kind of forgot my key at home. Happens a bit too often for my taste, you know. But the room you had Miss Bird open at that time was not your own, was it? What? You have quite the imagination. But why don't we ask the girl herself whose door she opened, shall we? I'm certain that it was Mr. Portsman's door, sir. I got it! I know how he did it! Oh, I know how he did it. He moved the basketball hoop. That's why it was moved. That's how he did it. He moved the basketball hoop and he put it right next to Edgeworth's door. Because when you're walking down the hallway and you see the basketball hoop, the first thing that you're gonna think of is you're gonna think that it's Mr. Portsman's door. So he moved the basketball hoop next to Edgeworth's door and he said, oh, this is my door right here, it's the basketball hoop. That's how he tricked her. It was genius. He thought the whole thing through, and he tricked her into opening the door so his fingerprints wouldn't be on the door and she would be the perfect scapegoat and he would frame her for the murder. He thought the whole thing through. So this is what I mean about the Ace Attorney games. These cases are really well done. They're really thought out really well. I checked the number plate to make sure I was opening the right door, sir. See? Miss Bird backs up my story. Yet, what if you had misled her to fool her into thinking what you wanted? And how do you suppose I did that? He moved the basketball hoop. By switching the number plates on her doors, for example. That's right, they do slide out pretty easily. Furthermore, you then used one other thing to give a very strong impression. That the door she was opening was yours and not in fact mine. What was that Mr. Portsman used to make Miss Bird think that it was his room? Is sitting in front of Mr. Portsman's office. Their assignment's been moved, the basketball hoop. He used this. He tricked her by moving it.
Take that!
What? The basketball hoop, sir? Is quite the peculiar fixture in any hallway, let alone a hallway in this building. Which is why it left an usually strong impression on you. It's an object perfectly suited to sit just outside the office of a particular person. Peculiar prosecutor. That's very true, sir, because there was a basketball hoop sitting there. I thought the door I was opening had to be Mr. Portsman's. There are signs the hoop has been moved. To sit in front of my office, to be sure. I see. So that's how you throw suspicion on people. Thanks for the tip. But I think your conjecture is a little off the racetrack. Oh, round 2. Conjecture's rebuttal. Now you're just spouting nonsense. I had the girl open my office door. After that, I was in my room the entire time. You don't have a single reason to suspect me. So he intends to claim his innocence to the end. Oh, controller. Controller died just as we're about to catch the murderer. But he's not going to get away with it. Plug the controller back in and get this murderer. I'm as pure and innocent as my jacket. And Miss Bird is as dirty and guilty as the jacket she wears. My jacket's not dirty. I'll have you know I just washed it yesterday. Please calm down, for I intend to show who is the one truly covered in slime here. Conjecture's rebuttal. Now you're just spouting nonsense.
Hold it!
Nonsense, you say? Yes, because I'm telling the truth here. I had the girl open my office door.
Hold it!
Using the master key, of course. Sure, you have a problem with that? This is what the master key is for, right? Perhaps we should place it in an elaborate labyrinth of some sort for people like you. After that, I was in my room the entire time.
Hold it!
And what were you doing in your office? I was doing my usual training regimen. Training regimen? Were you going through your law books from start to finish? Mainly batting practice and some weights. Oh, and I jog when I get the chance.
Wow, you must be the buffest prosecutor we have.
With the weakest legal muscles, it would seem. I was doing my usual workout, so... You don't have a single reason to suspect me.
Hold it!
I think I've given you quite a few reasons, actually.
Objection!
But none of those would stand up on their own.
Objection!
Then what about all the evidence?
Objection!
It's all circumstantial. No judge will convict on such flimsy evidence. So, is it all circumstantial? Let me think. Is it? Technically, he's right. technically most of it is circumstantial. Because, and this is a real term, if we find the gun is direct evidence. So these are real, so the Ace Attorney games aren't the most realistic, but they do use a lot of real legal terms. So, what is circumstantial evidence? Circumstantial evidence is evidence that's used to suggest something. So it's used to point to a specific direction, used to point to a person, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the person is guilty. So like for example, the basketball hoop, like that being moved, there's evidence that's being moved, but it's not direct evidence that he was the killer because the basketball hoop was moved. It suggests that he moved it on purpose to trick her, but it's not completely direct. If we find the gun is direct evidence because it will be his and it will be tied directly to him. You know, a real world example of circumstantial evidence I could think of is, like for example, let's say that there's a murder in a neighborhood, right? And the killer drove a red car away, and you were in that exact same neighborhood driving a red car. Just because you were driving the same car as the killer, leaving the neighborhood at the same time as the killer, does not necessarily mean that you are the killer. But it points towards you. So it's not directly implicating you, but it points towards you. So that's basically to understand what circumstantial evidence is. He seems to be trembling a little. One more little push. All I have to do is find the flaw in his testimony. Oh, this. The note. I was in my room the entire time. This.
Objection!
That was a lie. What are you talking about? How is that a lie? This is a note that the victim left for you, Mr. Portsman. A note? A note from the grave. It was left under your door, or did you not notice? And right here it says, but you're out. You were not in your room when the victim came to call on you. So then where were you and what were you doing? Shall I explain it in full detail for you? You were busy snooping around in my room, the very room you had Miss Bird open for you. That's just nonsense. You have no evidence that I made the girl open your door for me. Oh, but I do. I have very decisive evidence. No way. This is proof positive that you had Miss Bird open the door for you. Oh. Yeah, his door. Miss Bird says she unlocked this door, but her prints were not found on the doorknob. This. Because her prints are going to be found on Mr. Edgeworth's door.
Take that!
I had your door dusted for prints. My door? What for? Come on, I bet you didn't find anything. You sure are good at wasting time. You're right, I didn't find anything. And definitely not Miss Bird's fingerprints. Her prints, what did they have to do with anything? Let's put it this way. If she really was the one who opened your door, then her prints should naturally be in the doorknob she touched. Ah! Further, all of the prints on my office doors knobs have been wiped clean off. I can only assume it's because Miss Bird's fingerprints were on it. Don't you think it's time you gave up your charade? We know you stole into my office with the intent of stealing something from me. And Detective Faye found you out. Possibly because he heard sounds coming from a room whose occupant was on leave. Mr. Portsman, you killed Mr. Faye to silence him. And I had the misfortune return when I did. You had to threaten me as you escaped. As I said, when you had the gun to my back, no one gets away with committing murder in my office.
And just what's so funny, pal?
Well, that look of stiff seriousness on the face of this office's finest prosecutor, as he makes a huge mistake in accusing me, is simply too much to bear. There's just nothing else, like it in the world. What? Mr. Edgeworth just explained it all, and he even backed it up. You're the murderer. Stop trying to be slippery and just admit to the crime already. And as I said earlier, it's all so circumstantial, so full of conjecture. You say you checked my doorknob for prints. Well, I can readily confess that I'd wiped that knob down well. Eh? I'm a little obsessive-compulsive, you see. I didn't want to touch a doorknob that you had touched, which is why I wiped the knob down as soon as I could after you opened the door. After that, it makes perfect sense that only Jim's and my own prints would be on there.
You made that up just now, didn't you?
Furthermore, as for the note Jim left for me, do you know exactly when that was? For all we know, he could have left it before I arrived at the office. Like early evening, for example. Are you saying you failed to notice a note in your doorway? Hey, even geniuses fail at times. I was probably too preoccupied by work-related matters, though that's no excuse. Now let's just flat out lie. There's no way you didn't notice a note that size. But you can't prove that, can you? Say something, Mr. Edgeworth. Back me up here, sir. This soundtrack that's playing, I know this music, this OST. This is the soundtrack from the original Ace Attorney games, the very old ones. And whenever this song plays, it means you're in trouble. It means that the killer is trying to get away with it. Portsman makes a good point. I can't prove that he didn't simply overlook it. Besides, I have an airtight alibi. Airtight, you say? I only just realized I had one as we were talking. I guess it would have been better for all of us if I had just told you sooner. Portsman's alibi. If memory serves, you came back to this office at around 2 a.m., correct? And it was then that you had that unfortunate confrontation at gunpoint with the culprit. But at exactly that time, I was down in the criminal affairs. Ask around. I'm sure the other detectives will corroborate my story. It's the perfect alibi. Do you really think it's that perfect? Like I said, I don't care. Ask around all you like. You'll see for yourself. Detective Gumshoe.
Sorry, yes, sir. I'll go check out his alibi, sir. Be right back. Mr. Edgeworth, sir. I think we're in trouble. It's just like Mr. Portsman said. The guys down in criminal affairs said they saw him at around 2 a.m.
You see? All of the evidence points to him being the culprit. So there must be a contradictory point in his alibi somewhere. Portsman's alibi. And, also, here's the thing is, the most realistic thing about Ace Attorney, you know what the most realistic thing in these games is? The most realistic thing, even though the game isn't that realistic itself, is when you catch somebody in a contradiction, and you call them out when you're cross-examining it, they will try to create another lie to cover for that lie. And then you call that out, and they'll create another lie, and they'll keep going into this deep web of lies until the whole thing just basically explodes, and you basically show that they're a liar. If memory serves, you came back to this office at around 2 a.m., correct?
Hold it!
You are correct, it was around 2 a.m. Are you sure? It's really important to me that you're spot on with the time. I remember checking my watch then, and make no mistake, it was 2. Oh, giving testimony like a pro. Okay, so you came back to your office at 2. And it was then, you had that unfortunate, confrontation at gunpoint with the culprit.
Hold it!
It's as you say, however. Yes, however, you are the only one who claims to have bumped into the culprit. So tell me, did you see the person's face? Was it me who you saw? It was pitch black, so I couldn't actually see.
Objection!
Oh, come on now. I'm sure you saw something. Try a little harder, why don't you? I'm beginning to feel like I'm the one being interrogated here. Oh, well, it doesn't matter if you remember or not. It only matters that you ran into the culprit. But at exactly that time, I was down in criminal affairs.
Hold it!
So you paid the criminal affairs department a visit. Yup, right after I left the prosecutor's building, I headed straight for the precinct. Ask around, I'm sure the other detectives will corroborate my story. It's a perfect alibi. Something's not right here. Well, we did go and ask around to confirm your testimony. And it was just as I said, right?
Yes, sir. A number of detectives said that they saw you at around that time.
See? I have the perfect alibi. That's the ace I had up my sleeve. Urgh. Impossible. He actually does have the perfect alibi. What's wrong? Why does sudden sullen look on your face?
Can't you say anything back, Mr. Edgeworth?
I think we've reached the end of the line, and it's time to get off this crazy train. You there. Sir. Please escort the young lady out, but remember, be gentle.
Maggie!
Detective Gumshoe! Is there nothing I can do? There must be a way to turn this situation around. If only I had a clue. Did I miss something that can help me cast doubt on his alibi? The intruder I met could not have been Portsman. Then who could it have been? I need to calmly think this through one more time and with logic. The intruder I met could not have been Mr. Portsman, then who could it have been? Other than the victim's gun that I found, could there be another gun in play? It was a hitman. It was another person. There were 2 bullets left at the scene of the crime. One that robbed Mr. Faith of his life. And one that nearly robbed me of my jacket. However, the murder weapon only shows signs of being fired once, meaning that it is entirely possible that a second gun was used in my office tonight. But seeing as how the killer had to steal Mr. Faith's gun, I doubt the killer had another gun up their sleeve. Therefore, the second gun could have been the property of an entirely different person, which could mean that there was another person who paid a visit to my office tonight. Maybe the victim and his killer weren't the only visitors to my office tonight. Another visitor. The culprit rearranged my files twice. Once before and once after the murder. Why? Maybe the victim and the killer weren't the only visitors to my office tonight. Connect. Supposing there was yet another visitor tonight, that would also resolve the issue of why my shelves were unopened twice. We know that the shelves were disturbed once before and once after the murder. So it shouldn't be much of a stretch to think that it was the work of 2 different people. Once by the person who stole the victim's gun and then killed him with it. And once again, after the murder by a second culprit, who was the owner of the second gun. If we suppose the second culprit's gun was the one that was pointed at my back. And also the thing is, Edgeworth, in reality, Edgeworth has really amazing memory, so he would have remembered the killer's voice, and it would have not been Mr. Portsman. That's the thing is.
Objection!
Mr. Portsman, it seems that I need to amend my assumptions regarding this case. Great, so you finally come to your senses. Mr. Edgeworth.
Sir, what are you saying?
This has been a big misunderstanding on my part from the start. I assumed that the person I ran into was the killer, but that may not be the case. What do you mean? The person I ran into was your average thief.
A thief? But, sir, doesn't that cause some sort of contradiction in the facts?
Not at all. It simply means that the killer was someone else. And it means that in actuality, 2 culprits stole into my office tonight.
What do you mean, 2?
It explains both why my shelves were disturbed twice and how there were 2 guns. Mr. Portsman tricked Miss Bird and gained entry into my office. Now you're just leading the argument. You still don't have any actual proof, you know. If you could please go along with my hypothetical scenario for now, Mr. Portsman. In the end, if you really are innocent, you should have nothing to worry about. Now then, returning to my scenario, Mr. Portsman was out to steal something from me. Which is why he checked my secret safe and ransacked my shelf. This is the first time.
So then, this would be when the files were put back in the wrong order, right?
Correct. And then, just when he was about to look somewhere else, who should walk in but his own partner, Mr. Faith?
Well, why did Mr. Faith come into your room, sir?
He probably had business with Mr. Portsman, which is why he was in the area. But that's when he noticed sounds coming from my office, would be my guess. Oh, because you were supposed to be away, right?
And he must have thought it was odd, so he came into this office to check it out.
Correct. And as a detective, that was the right thing to do. But when he came in, he found his own partner standing there. Because it was Mr. Portsman, Mr. Faith probably let his guard down. But Mr. Portsman was not so merciful as to let him leave alive. He waited for a chance and stole Mr. Faith's gun from him, and then he killed him. He silenced Mr. Faith for catching him in the act of stealing. No, now he got him. This was the moment in which the first shot was fired, the one that landed in my files. Following that, Mr. Portsman wiped the gun down and left it behind as he made his exit. He could afford to do that because he had also left a fake dying message behind.
You're such a complicated troublemaker, you know that?
Well, if things were as simple as that, then all would be solved. However, there was yet another visitor to my room, and this is where it gets complicated. And the other visitor took that file. He took the file from the... There was another
visitor, sir.
Yes, and this other person's objective was also to steal something from me. Now then, even after Mr. Portsman left, the door to my office remained unlocked. However, this new visitor had no way of knowing that, and so they stole the master key from the security guard's room, and then entered my room and searched through my shelves. This was the second time they were disturbed, and it seemed that the thief found their prize.
The stolen 0 files, right, sir?
Correct. Only just as the thief was about to leave with the file, I appeared. The thief then threatened me with their own gun and made their escape. The second bullet was fired during that brief encounter.
So the shelves getting messed up twice, and the 2 bullets, it was all because 2 different people were doing those things at 2 different times.
And the guy who fired that gun probably did that on purpose to basically point Edgeworth in the right direction, and he would figure out that there's 2 guns, and it was Mr. Portsman. That's probably what it was about, because it would go all because then it would be easier to prove that there was 2 people in the room.
It was all because 2 different people were doing those things at 2 different times.
Precisely. So now do you see, Mr. Portsman? The person I met was just a thief, and was not in fact Mr. Faith's killer. Your alibi for the time frame in which I ran into the other person is now irrelevant, because we now know the murder took place during the first culprit's visit.
What's so funny, pal?
Absolutely splendid. Your scenario explains everything.
Of course it does. It's Mr. Edgeworth, after all.
But you know, it still doesn't change the fact that it's all circumstantial. Supposing if, and that's a big if, your theory is right, it would indeed render my alibi, which has withstood scrutiny, mind you, irrelevant. But there is still one defining point of your argument, for which you have no evidence. Your supposition that I was the first visitor.
Mr. Edgeworth, you can't let him get away with that, sir.
But he has a point. I have absolutely no proof at this point. Don't say that, sir.
I don't believe this. Don't worry, Maggie. I'll do something if I must.
You know something? I find your attitude to be somewhat peculiar, Mr. Edgeworth. In if the person you met really was just a plain old thief, then why is that person not your main suspect? That is, if your theory is correct. Portsman's Alibi Part 2. So the music gets better and better. These games always have the best music. That thief you ran into should be your real suspect, when you say? We should be out there looking for that thief right now. They must still be nearby. I hate to repeat myself, but as I've already said, I was training in my room. And when Jim came to deliver some evidence to me, I was down in criminal affairs. So I can't be expected to know what happened around here after I left. So you think we should be out there looking for the thief? Of course! Now isn't the time to be having these dead-end discussions. I don't think it's at all dead-end. I find your alibi to be fascinating. Let's continue where we left off, shall we? I know he's lying. I know he was here at the scene of the crime. I just have to find a way to prove it. Portsman's Alibi Part 2. That thief you ran into should be your real suspect, wouldn't you say?
Hold it!
Actually, no, I wouldn't. Why not? That's elementary. The dying message, of course. Mr. Faith's killer was, very clearly left those letters on the spines of those files. And it was after they, were on there that the thief stole one of them.
You mean there's 0 files, right?
And that's how we also know the letters, themselves were a setup, and not for Mr. Faith. If the thief was the killer, do you think they would try to undermine themselves? Ah! Or maybe the killer just didn't think of that, either. Yes, that must be it. Maybe, just maybe. We should be out there looking for that thief right now. They might still be nearby.
Hold it!
Once escaped, I highly doubt a thief would linger nearby. Well, you never know. Maybe they didn't get what they were really after. Oh, you talk like you know quite a bit about this thief. Ah, it's nothing like that. I have no idea about anything, after all. I hate to repeat myself, but as I already said, I was training in my room.
Hold it!
But according to Mr. Faith's note... Hold on, I thought we already cleared that up. Didn't we say that Jim left that note for me in the early evening? If you have proof that he left it at a different time, say just before he was murdered. I don't have any, no. You see? So I insist again that I was in my office the entire time. And when Jim came to deliver some evidence to me, I was down at criminal affairs.
Hold it!
Why didn't you go there with Jim, Mr. Faith? Oh, that's because he said he was tired and was going to take a quick nap. You know those sofas in the hallway? He likes to sleep on those. It's one of his habits. And what of the evidence he brought in? They were things related to yesterday's case. Just 2 items. A gun and a pendant. Gun and a pendant. Interesting. This piece of testimony seems too crucial to let slip through the cracks. He brought me 2 items. A gun and a pendant. That are related to yesterday's case.
Hold it!
A gun and a pendant. Yes, this gun, which was the murder weapon. And this pendant, which belonged to the victim. And why were you taking them to criminal affairs? There was something in a past case file I wanted to compare these 2 to. But all this has nothing to do with the case right now. Anyway, I believe you'll find a long paper trail I left to your satisfaction. This is all matching up with what Detective Gumshoe found out. So I can't be expected to know what happened around here after I left.
Hold it!
I can't expect you to know, can I? Nope, but I guess you can expect me to take a guess based on logical deductions. Oh, then let's see you deduce. Jim waited for me to leave and then stole the master key. For the purpose of sneaking into your room, of course. And that's when Miss Bird caught him red-handed and the murder occurred. It's all exactly as I had laid out earlier. I know he's lying. I know he was here at the scene of the crime. I just have to find a way to prove it. He brought 2 items, a gun and a pendant, that are related to yesterday's case. Issued to the victim and believed to be the murder weapon. And didn't he say He said that gun was the murder weapon. Hang on a second. But the gun wasn't. It was Jim's gun, or Mr. Faith's gun. Let me check this one more time. This is important. You have to really pay attention to what they say. A gun and a pendant. Yes, this gun, which was the murder weapon. And this pendant, which belongs to the victim. And why were you taking them to criminal affairs? There was something in a past case file I wanted to compare these two to, but it all has nothing to do with this case right now. Anyway, I believe you find a long paper trail I left you to your satisfaction. That makes... No. That's the point right there. That's it. That's where he's lying. The gun is his. But he's saying, both of these can't be correct. It's either Jim's gun or it's from the murder case. So he brought me two items, the gun and the pendant. No, it's this.
Objection!
It would behove you to take a good look at this. I see it, but I fail to see how it has anything to do with me. But the gun belongs to Jim. It is a contradiction. Even if it... Is that so? Wait. It is a contradiction. Oh wait, it's this. I brought the 3 pieces of evidence just like we talked about on the phone. And he says 2 pieces of evidence. 2 items. But the note says 3. But I am right on my contradiction, even if I got it wrong here, because he says he brought me a gun from yesterday's crime, but then he says the gun is the murder weapon here. But that doesn't make sense if it's Jim's gun.
Hold it! Objection!
Only 2 pieces. I believe the proper phrase here is you fail. Excuse me? You fail as a prosecutor, Mr. Portsman, as you intend to keep evidence hidden from me. What are you talking about? I haven't hidden anything from you. Well, here's a piece I think you should read. Carefully. Ah, it says that Mr. Faith was bringing 3 pieces. Yes, and this is the victim's real dying message to you, Mr. Portsman. I can't believe to get tripped up by a simple arithmetic. Where is the missing piece of evidence? You have it, don't you? Only the guilty would make such a face.
Detective Gumshoe. You don't have to say it, sir. I'll pat the guy down from head to toe.
Don't come any closer, I'm warning you.
This is all part of the investigation, pal, so don't even think about stopping me. No! Hey, what's this? He had this on him, sir.
A videotape? Despite what you said, it would appear that you do have something to hide. But why would he hide something
like that?
There's only one reason why anyone would hide evidence of this caliber. Because it would unequivocally point that person himself as the real killer. Let's examine this videotape in a little more detail. For the section of the tape that will drive the last nail into his coffin. Oh, there's blood on it too. The KG8 incident. The KG8 incident?
That's a police case number, sir. Does that mean this video is evidence from that case?
Interesting. However, what's recorded on this isn't what's important right now. Let's give the casing a thorough once-over.
Oh, that's blood, isn't it?
Yes, and I believe this is what the good prosecutor was trying to hide from us. This blood is still fresh.
You mean this might be Detective Faith's blood?
No. You got it all wrong. No amount of denial can save you. We have but to run a blood test to find the truth. You told us that you had received evidence from the victim earlier. Now you will tell us when and how did the victim's blood find its way onto this video. Yeah, it's totally suspicious. Was it at the moment of his death? Did Detective Faith have this videotape on his personage when you killed him? You know very well there's no way to prove that. Not even if we were to examine this tape for fingerprints? If I had to take a guess, I'd say that the only ones on here would belong to the murderers, you and Mr. Faith. No, impossible. March 14, 5:47 a.m. High Prosecutor's Office, Room 1202.
Mr. Portsman has been placed under arrest for the murder of Detective Buddy Faith, sir.
Very good.
And the results we got back from the lab's techs on the tape turned out to be the real solid, sir. The blood work came back, and it was definitely Mr. Faith's blood on there. And as a bonus, they were also able to lift a few Mr. Faith's fingerprints as well.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Edgeworth. I still can't believe I got to see your cool deduction skills outside the courtroom. I'm impressed beyond words, sir. It was nothing. I'm just sorry you got caught up in a murder in my office. Please accept my apologies. Oh, it was nothing, really. Compared to what I've been through, I mean. I consider myself lucky that it was only a burglary and a murder this time, sir. If I had been a holdup or a hostage situation, I'd have thrown my hands up in the air. I think I'm finally rising up from a goddess of misfortune to just an unlucky person. Something tells me we should have hired a different person for security detail.
You know something, sir, that Mr. Portsman really was one corrupt prosecutor.
And why would you say he was corrupt?
Well, I heard there was a number of suspicious things related to his court cases. There's even rumors about how some of the evidence he used is forged, sir.
Forged evidence, huh?
And they say he even decided not to prosecute a few cases for some really vague reasons.
Oh, that guy was a complete disgrace to the entire profession. We never did get around to asking what his reason was for breaking into my office.
Yeah, whenever we get near that topic, he just clammed up.
Although we can be pretty certain that it was to steal something.
This is just between you and me, sir, but there's a rumor that some sort of huge organization is involved behind the scenes.
Oh, well. With Mr. Portsman not willing to divulge anything, it certainly leaves credits to that rumor. It would seem that we haven't heard the last of this.
Huh? Then Mr. Portsman isn't the bad guy?
I didn't say that, but rather that there are still many more mysteries for us to solve. So yeah, this case is probably gonna come back to us. So a lot of the Ace Attorney games, they set up the first case where the first case is gonna, or first or second case usually is gonna come back later on. For example, we still haven't figured out the significance of this piece of evidence. The file. Yeah. Files pertaining to a case tried 10 years ago by my predecessor are missing. Yeah, it's this.
Take that!
The person who stole this file. The other villain of the night.
Yeah, I wonder who it was.
And what happened to the stolen pages? I wonder, who in the world was in that, was it that held me up at gunpoint? Mr. Edgeworth, sir. Yes. I came across this while I was processing your office earlier, sir. This card.
What is it, sir? Is that a bird or something on there?
I think I know what this is. It's not just any bird. It's the mark of the raven, a three-legged raven. Even you should know what this is, detective.
Oh, it's about that thing, isn't it? The great thief everyone's talking about.
Yes, it is the mark of the great thief, Yata Garusu. Garusu. I thought that it was in reference to the hitman, because there was a hitman in the older Ace Attorney games they never caught. Under the mark of a legendary bird, the Yata Garusu is noble to the end, of a modern Robin Hood. Labeled mysterious and phantom-like, the Yata Garusu appears and vanishes at will. Though we don't know much about this thief's ultimate goal, we know the targets. Yata Garusu likes to find and make public evidence of corrupt dealings of all sorts. Yata Garusu reappeared, corporate dealings exposed. The theft is always performed in silence, and always with perfection. But once a target is chosen, no dramatic calling card or announcement is sent forth. Instead, the chosen corporations are infiltrated without even the target noticing. Some days later, the evidence that was found is sent out to the mass media, along with a single card. Although it has been a while since the Yata Garusu's last appearance.
Hey, Mr. Edgeworth, look, something's written on the back.
What? Let me see.
It's the location of where the thief puts the stolen files.
So the person who stole the contents of the file was the Yata Garusu. Yata Garusu organization. Quite a few keywords are popping up in this mystery. So that's why he didn't kill Edgeworth. He's a vigilante. The murder in my office. The return of the great thief, Yata Garusu. Looking back, I can't say I didn't see these events coming. For they were heralded by the incidents that began to occur 2 days ago. Okay, so we did it, guys. We completed the first case. There is still 9 more murder cases in this game, so there's 9 more cases. So thank you guys for watching. I will have the next, so that was Turnabout Visitor. We completed it. The next one will be Turnabout Airlines. So thank you guys for watching. I really love this game. I love the Ace Attorney games so much. Thank you guys for watching. I'll have the next part out for you guys as soon as I can. Take care, everyone, and have a wonderful day, guys.